So let's get the last review of 2019 out of the way. And this is a movie that takes place during World War I, directed by Sam Mendes, who did a couple of James Bond 007 movies. Let's talk about 1917. Okay, like I said, 1917 takes place during World War I, and what happens is a crew of people are going to be sent in to attack a fleeing group of Germans, and what happens is we find out that it's all a trap. So two people are going to be sent to inform the whole group, hey, don't do it, you're walking right into a trap. And that's kind of the basis of the movie. William Schofield and Tom Blake get sent to go warn them, and the reason that they both were sent is because Blake has a brother who happens to be in that battalion. And along the way, they have to fight off very dangerous things like editing, disgusting work conditions, rotting bodies, rats, and then, oh yeah, there was those German guys. A lot of people are having this on the top 10 of the year list, and I kind of wanted to get it over with before we go into 2020, and I have to say, this movie's really fantastic. I was gripped like nothing else I've ever seen. The main gimmick, if you will, besides the fact that this is taking place during World War I, is the fact that it's all a tracking shot. So the whole time there's supposedly no edits. So it's very much like Birdman, except I didn't like Birdman, and I'll explain why. In this movie, because the World War setting itself lends to so much more tension in the movie, as characters are walking around, and you have this rotating camera, and the way they use it is so much more different because you are in open fields, you are in the middle of battles, or you are in scenes where action is coming at you, going away from you, and just the way that it's not just what in most movies do where they will shoot one person talking, then they'll cut and have the face-to-face talking. This tracking style is way more inventive because if you start off with a shot of someone from the side, you have to move the camera around to get them. And it also brings a better level of acting, I'm not gonna lie. The two leads in the movie, played by Dean McKay and Dean Charles Chapman, who play respectively William and Blake, are really the opposites of each other, as Blake is more of a storyteller. He's more of someone who is actually being sent, once again, just because his brother is in that battalion who they're trying to warn not to attack. And he happens to be working with William, so William gets saddled with him. But William, you can tell, has a little bit more battle readiness. He's more of a frontline person than Blake. And the acting is really well. There are a couple of times where I didn't, because they both have a little bit of a harder accent, English accent, but that's not to be talked about. The level of suspense in this movie, while not much is happening, is pretty amazing. There's a scene where, and also because it's all a tracking shot, it tried to do something that I believe that Christopher Nolan tried to do in Duburcq, where it's so grand that even if nothing is happening, there's always that tension that something could, because these are two guys who are going on the front line, where at one point, literally 2 nights before this movie takes place, the Germans were there and they were attacking the troops. I also like that it has a little bit of levity in it, especially early on, but as the movie and as the threat levels go on, there's less and less levity. It's more about, these are dire circumstances. Like, in the movie you felt like characters could die at any moment. That's how intense it is. I will give a lot of credit to the score as well, because even when people are walking, remember, this is one continuous shot for the most part. All it is you're watching two people walking, kind of looking around, hoping they don't get shot. The weight of the score really brings in the tension that, like, oh my god, through any corner you can literally get shot at. And I really appreciated that about this movie. I will throw this out there for those who are interested. This is not a war movie. This is a message movie, meaning you have two people who are going out to deliver a message. This takes place during a war, but you will not see any big wars. There are no huge fight scenes. You will not get your storming the beach of Normandy from Saving Private Ryan. This is a very contained story in this world, in this war. If there's anything I can say probably bad about it, is the fact that some of the scenes where nothing is happening, or when characters have to deal with what happened beforehand, or just a little bit like the first time where you had to see the two main characters walking through the field, I kind of got a very reminiscent of Lord of the Rings. I was like, oh look, there goes Sam and Bilbo. I mean, Sam and Frodo. It felt very much like that, but as the danger goes along, especially as they go further into the front line, you really feel that tension, even on moments where not much is happening. I'm not gonna lie, there's a couple of times I jumped just because you were like worried about what's happening, the score is kicking in, and then just the minuscule of things would happen and you're like, oh shoot, remember this is war, you can die. Yeah, that's probably the only thing. A couple of the scenes, just ran long because of the way it's shot with one long tracking shot. I was surprised at very much a lot of the tension as well. Like, as they go along, it's not like in some movies where people will go along and they'll be perfectly fine. Like, as soon as they start their journey, you feel like shit can go wrong. So it added to that where it almost made the world more real. And by the end of the movie, you will feel like this movie can literally end at any minute. So that was really good, and that really got me more intense into the movie. I really like this movie a lot. I give it a very high score. I'm going to go with 9.6 for 1917. It's in limited release right now. The only theater that has it in New York is the 68th Street AMC. I really can't wait to watch this in IMAX, especially the later scenes. There's really no huge stars in the movie. Benedict Cumberbatch is in it, Doctor Strange, but he's only in it at the end for about literally one scene for maybe about total screen time of 5-6 minutes. I did like the ending and how everything wrapped up. There was one scene where a character wasn't shooting at the Germans, and I never understood why he wasn't. But I guarantee you this movie is gonna win Best Cinematography for 2019. It is gorgeous. Even within this constricted world of I'm just gonna follow you, it still finds a way to take the grandeur of it all. There's one part where one of the characters is looking out into a burning city, and it's gorgeous. So yeah, that's my review for 1917. I give it a 9.6, like I said. Have you seen it? Let me know. If you plan on seeing it, let me know as well. And let me know your thoughts on it. That's it for 2019. Hopefully next year I get to do a lot more reviews than I did this year. This year is pretty lazy. So we'll see. Bye.